Hello everybody, Dylan Shay here to welcome to another episode of Dylan's Disney Movie Reviews. Once again, let's get the ball and get right to the review. Released on July 8th, 1964, the movie is The Moon Spinners. The film begins on the island of Crete, where the bus carrying some people, including Nikki Ferris and her Aunt Frances, played by Hayley Mills and the late Joan Greenwood, respectively, and there's a man standing next to them with a fish.
Fran, I think I'm going to be...
No, hold on. We're bound to be there in a minute. Here. Concentrate madly on something else. It's all mental.
That fish isn't.
Change places with me. There's a bit of air from the window. I say, I wonder if you'd be so kind as to put that somewhere else.
The fish! Could you put it somewhere? It's a bit strong. Could you put it somewhere else?
The bus then stops at Nikki and Francis's stop, and they get off.
Nikki, I'm coming!
Now, have we got everything? Suitcases, knapsack, tape recorder.
Χαίρετε.
Oh, are yours Georgios?
Ναι, Άγιος Γιώργιος.
They then see a wedding in progress.
Cousin Orestes, visitors from England. Namazisis exadelphaki.
Ευχαριστώ. You are welcome to my wedding.
Muy nevendis.
Nikki and Francis then arrive at their hotel called the Moon Spinners. Sophia, the proprietress, played by the late Irene Pompous, lets her brother Stratos, played by the late Eli Wallach, know and needs his help, but he says he's too busy.
Will you leave this for once? Orestes is our cousin. They're all expecting you.
I came back because I had work to do. All I want is some peace and quiet.
We didn't come back for love of your family or your village. That much is certain.
What do you mean by that?
You suddenly appear from London. You don't want to see anyone. You don't want me to take any visitors. You and this Englishman watch each other like cat and mouse.
You're very observant, aren't you, little sister?
You fill your head with this. Stars, fortunes, astrology.
I warn you again. Stay out of my business. If you do, you'll have all the money you need. If you don't...
This make money?
More than you ever dreamed of.
How?
By keeping one step ahead of chance. Always one step ahead.
Chance or the law?
Go and see to your guests. Out, you hear?
You better go to the church sometimes. Those are works of the devil.
Out!
Fromofilades.
Sophia then comes outside and meets Nikki and Francis, but she didn't get the telegram that Nikki sent for a reserved room.
But that's incredible. Nikki, you didn't.
I sent it myself. The man at the post office translated it.
Well, I'm sorry.
Well, I asked you to reserve us 2 rooms for a few days. This is my niece.
Sophia says that there are no available rooms, but Frances tells her that she and Nikki are very tired, so Sophia's son, Alexis, played by Michael Davis, suggests her that they could stay in one of the empty rooms.
Have you got empty rooms?
Wait, we're absolutely exhausted. We can't possibly go back all the way to Heraklion tonight.
If you don't give us one of those rooms, wedding or no wedding, I shall sleep right here on the floor. Please.
Well, take the ladies upstairs. They can have number 3.
Bravo. Bravo. Jolly good show. Come, I show you.
So Alexis takes Nicky and Francis to the room, and Nicky asks him why his mother didn't want them there, and he says it's because of his uncle Stratos being in a bad mood since he returned from England and doesn't want anybody there.
But I like you both. So everything okay? Wait a minute. Thank you very much.
No.
You crazy or something? Thank you, missus. If there's anything that you want, you just ask Alexis.
Stratos then comes in, sees Nicky and Francis, and asks them what they're doing there.
We've come to stay if you've no objection.
She has let you the room?
This is a hotel, isn't it? I mean, it is the custom in Crete to let rooms to visitors, or am I mistaken?
How did you hear of Ios Yorios?
Someone told us at the hotel in Heraklion. I'm a musicologist. I collect folk songs.
What kind of songs do you expect to find here?
The song that this hotel is called after, for one. Now, do you mind? We'd like to rest.
All right. You can spend the night here.
That's extremely kind of you.
Could we at least have a bath?
There is no bath here. Alexis will give you water to wash in if you wish, or else there is the sea. There is a bus leaving for Ios Nikolos tomorrow.
Stratos and Alexis then leave the room, and Nicky and Francis unpack their stuff. Nicky then sees a young man outside named Mark Camford, played by Peter McHenry. Later that evening, Nicky and Francis go downstairs and meet him.
Good evening.
Good evening.
You must be the two old English... You must be the two old English ladies Alexis told me about.
Have you been here long?
Phew. I'm Mark Camford.
Francis Ferris.
How do you do?
My niece Nikki.
Good
Hello.
evening.
I thought perhaps as everyone was celebrating, we might have dinner together.
We'd love to.
Yes.
What a pleasant surprise.
I had Alexis keep us a table outside. All right?
Yes.
The three then sit down at a table for dinner and talk.
I bring you dinner, same as them.
Oh, thank you, Alexis. Sweet.
Is this the first time you've been to Greece?
We spent a week in Athens before coming here.
Uh-huh.
Have you been to Athens? It's fabulous, isn't it? The Acropolis and everything. I mean, it's exactly like the Acropolis. I wish they could stick it all together again, don't you?
Have you been here long?
No, not very, no. It's a quaint little place, dead quiet as a rule.
I'm surprised Uncle Stratus let you stay. He practically threw us out. I mean, I can't understand why he has such a very odd attitude to visitors, can you?
He's a very odd one, Uncle Stratus. Do you know he devours books on astrology, strung with charms and fetishes like a witch doctor?
It'd take a witch doctor to improve his manners.
Very good olives. I make myself.
Ah, let's see.
Later, Stratos tells Nicky and Francis about three sisters who spin the full moon, and they're who the hotel is named after, and Mark wonders if the legend has anything to do with the Bay of Dolphins since Alexis told him about there being a treasure on a sunken ship.
Really?
In Crete, there are many old tales.
I understand when the moon is full, you're supposed to be able to see the treasure at the bottom of the bay. Do you think there's any treasure in the Bay of Dolphins?
There are sharks and many dangerous octopus among the rocks.
Sharks?
Yes. I warned you before not to go swimming there.
I see you quite often out there in your boat.
Let us hope I do not fish you out one day without an arm or a leg.
My cousin Orestes, my very good friends from London.
How do you do?
You like to meet Ariadne, please?
Oh, we'd love to.
Yes.
Oh, you look so pretty. Tell her how pretty she looks. Would you mind if I gave her that scarf you bought me in Athens?
What a good idea. I'll be back in a minute.
Be a dear, and bring me my tape recorder.
Okay.
Oh, thank you very much.
So Nikki goes up to her in Francis's room and finds Stratos in it.
What are you doing?
I'm sorry. I came up here to get some of my books. This used to be my room, you know.
Well, there were no books in here.
Well, I said I was sorry. Oh, by the way, it's quite a coincidence you're meeting an old friend here.
What old friend?
Mr. Comfort.
We never saw him before until tonight.
Oh. Well, have a very pleasant evening, Miss Ferris.
A few minutes later, while dancing with Mark, Nikki tells him that there's something sinister about the family running the hotel with the exception of Alexis.
And who's that sullen young man who's always hanging about?
Oh, that's Cousin Ambrose. He helps around the inn.
Well, I think they're all up to something.
Mark then invites Nikki to go swimming with him tomorrow at the Bay of Dolphins, and she agrees. The villagers then sing the newlyweds to bed, and Mark suggests to Nikki that she should go to bed.
I am quite tired, actually. It turned into a lovely evening.
Good.
That's the nicest way for things to happen when they come as a surprise.
Good night.
Good night.
Shall I meet you about 9:30 tomorrow?
Uh-huh. Look at the moon. I don't think at home it ever seemed so huge and so close.
The moon spinners must be working full-time tonight.
I think that's what I should become. I can't think of a lovelier way of spending my life than spinning that silver light.
You're quite a romantic, aren't you? No, it's unusual nowadays. Good night.
Good night, Mark.
So Nikki goes to bed. Stratos then asks Mark if he would like to go to the Bay of Dolphins with him, but he says no.
It's great fun, you know.
Oh, I'm sure.
Some other time, perhaps?
Some other time, perhaps. Happy harpooning.
So Stratos goes to the Bay of Dolphins by himself, but Mark follows him and spies on him. Lambus, played by the late Paul Stasino, then shoots Mark and he falls into the water. The next morning, Nikki comes downstairs and asks Sophia if Mark's awake yet, and she tells him that he's gone.
Gone? Where?
To Heraklion, he left by the early bus.
But he can't have. Didn't he leave a message or a note or anything?
No, nothing.
Oh, but I... Thank you.
She goes outside to look for him, finds one of his shoes by the beach, and then goes into a nearby church. She then sees a trail of blood, follows it, and finds Mark, who was shot in the arm.
Mark, it's Nicky. What are you doing here? They said you'd gone.
I must have fallen asleep.
Your arm, what's happened?
I'm sorry I stood you up.
Wait a minute.
What time is it?
About 10:30.
Mark refuses to tell Nicky what happened to him. She wraps her sweater around him, and he sends her back to the hotel to get him some different clothes. So she runs back to the hotel. But when she enters Mark's room, there's nothing there. She then goes into her room, grabs Aunt Frances's traveling rug and first aid kit, and then goes downstairs and takes a bottle of brandy from the bar without anybody seeing her and heads back to Mark. Later, Frances returns to her room again and notices that her rug and first aid kit are missing, so she asks Stratos if he's seen them.
Emergencies? Perhaps your niece took these things with her this morning.
It's hardly likely she'd take a traveling rug on a day like this, and I doubt whether she's in any need of bandages.
Do you know where she went?
Mr. Camford promised to take her swimming. I suppose she must have gone off somewhere alone.
Mr. Comfort. Yes, he always went to the Bay of Dolphins. I will look into this matter at once. If she has not your things, I will ask in the village. Don't worry, they will be returned.
Meanwhile, Nicky returns to Mark and helps him out, but he still refuses to tell her if Stratos tried to kill him and orders her to leave.
You see, you take the afternoon bus with your aunt to I.S. Nicholas. You understand? Now put that down, put that down.
But why us? You're the one who's in trouble.
If he knew you'd been helping me, he might take a pot shot at you. Now get that stuff.
Mark, whatever is going on?
You've got to get out of here.
Well, I'm not going to leave you here like this. You need help.
You've given me all the help I need.
Now just stop ordering me about.
Up the steps, Mark! Hurry up, come on.
Mark, will you please be reasonable? You look wretched and white. You'll only faint in the sun or fall off a cliff.
I'm perfectly okay, Nicky. Thank you for everything you've done. See you at Aunt Agatha's next Tuesday.
Mark!
Scram.
You deserve to die a horrible lingering death, and I hope you do!
Beat it!
On her way back to the hotel, Nicky runs into Stratos.
Miss Ferris, your aunt has been worried about you.
Oh, I'm on my way back to the inn now.
Where have you been all morning?
Looking for rocks. I collect rocks.
You carry them in that?
Sometimes. If I happen to find a lot, rocks can be very heavy.
How many did you find this morning?
Not many. In fact, none. Well, I mustn't be late for lunch, must I?
He then looks in her bag and sees the first aid kit.
Who needed this, Miss Ferris?
Well, as a matter of fact, I wasn't actually looking for rocks. Well, that is, I was at first. But then I went up there into the hills, and I came across this shepherd who'd broken his leg. He'd slipped and broken his leg.
Ah.
Oh, the poor man was lying out there with nothing. So, of course, I had to do something.
Up in the hills?
Uh-huh. Look. Up there. He was awfully grateful. He was an awfully nice shepherd, very old.
Will you show me where you left him? I will make arrangements to have him carried back to the village.
Oh, he could walk. He walked away. He's quite all right now.
He walked? With a broken leg?
Yes. Well, goodbye.
Stratos then goes to see that shepherd that Nicky says he's fine.
Really, he's all right. Perhaps it wasn't completely broken.
I think we should make sure, don't you?
No, he's gone home with his sheep.
When a shepherd breaks his leg, he always goes into this church to pray. It's an old tradition in Ayos Yorios.
Stratos! I promise you, he went over the mountains toward his village.
You are a very bad liar. You're also a very stupid girl. You've come to see the beauties of Crete. Let me show you what.
Let me go! Leave me alone!
He then takes Nicky into the church with him and looks for Mark, but he's gone. However, Stratos finds Nicky's sweater with a blood stain on it.
How much did he tell you, huh? Answer me. How much do you know?
Stratos then returns to the hotel, and Frances is very worried about Nicky, but Stratos ensures her that she probably got lost and will come back soon.
Hi. Bon appetit, Mrs. Ferris. Tonight, if we are lucky, you will have quail for dinner.
Quail?
It is a local dish, stuffed with mushrooms and thyme. Extremely tasty.
It sounds delicious.
Yes.
Stratos goes inside and gets ready to go shooting, and Sophia shows up and asks him what's happening.
You know what I tell you. That is enough.
No, it's not enough. You tell me Mr. Comfort left with the early bus. Why? Why?
How should I know? He's a visitor. He comes and goes as he chooses.
I did not hear him leave.
Why should you hear? He left quietly so as not to disturb anyone.
And now this girl. I don't understand. I'm afraid. Please, Tato. Whatever happened, tell me the truth.
Mr. Comfort went to Heraklion. Miss Ferris lost her way. I am going to shoot quail. What is the matter with you?
Someone must have taken these things.
Yes, the children in the village. The devil himself. What do I care?
Stratos then goes shooting with Lambis. They go down to the beach where Mark is, and he's trying to hide from them.
I'll watch the bay. You take the high country. Search. Find him. This time when you shoot, shoot to kill.
Mark then goes up a hill, finds Alexis, and has him keep a secret.
Go back to the inn and see if Nicky and her aunt have caught the afternoon bus to Ias Nicholas. I want to be sure they've caught that bus, you understand?
But what's up? You and Uncle Stratos make pretty big stink, eh?
You bring me news about Nicky, quick like a mouse.
Then you still my friend? I think pretty lousy thing when you go and no goodbye.
Of course we're friends, the best. Now off you go.
I bring you word.
Alexis then rides off on his donkey. He arrives at a windmill where inside Nicky is tied up, and Alexis hears her scream.
scream?
Alexis! It's Nicky! Help!
For crying out loud! What are you doing in there?
Get me out of here, Alexis!
I get Mr. Camford. We get you out all right.
That night at the hotel, Francis has searched the beach but couldn't find Nicky. Stratos then returns and Francis tells him that she's worried about Nicky and tells him to call the police.
The police?
My niece may be lost, kidnapped, anything.
Calm down, Mrs. Ferris. We will look for her. The best thing for you to do is go upstairs and get some rest.
Rest! I can't rest. I walked up and down that beach until I thought I'd go mad.
Just a minute. Katige mikre inglesa. Precies, stilumudia. Precies, stus lofes. Precies, midisvach. Krigera. There, you see? We will search for her. All of us. Along the shore, in the hills. I am quite sure that we will find her before long.
Thank you.
Stratos then goes to his room, followed by Sophia, and she demands to know where Nicky is.
How should I know where she is? I'm not her nurse.
I warn you, Stratos. I will stand no more from you. No more threats. No more lies.
After tomorrow night, you'll never see me again.
If you have harmed that girl or Mr. Comfort, I won't rest until you have paid for it. We've been poor people, simple people, but we have been decent. I want my son to grow up decent.
Along with your decency, I've kept you if I hadn't sent you money from England all these years. Enough to buy this house, enough to start this inn.
Better to have nothing. Better to starve and have some self-respect.
The next day, Alexis and Mark head to the windmill. Alexis manages to get in, frees Nicky, and then climbs down the sails, but Nicky's too scared.
Don't look down! Watch the sails! Jump when the next one reaches you!
I watch for Uncle Stratos.
She then jumps and Mark catches her. Alexis then tells them Stratos is coming, so Mark and Nicky leave and Stratos goes into the windmill and finds Nicky gone. Nicky once again asks Mark why Stratos is trying to kill him.
Why is he trying to kill me?
I'll tell you later.
You keep saying you'll tell me later. I've been shut up in that horrible windmill, almost murdered. And now we're running away. And I don't know where or why, what's happening or anything.
If you waste any more time jabbering, you won't live long enough to find out.
Oh, I'm going back.
Listen, don't you understand? Stratus is a desperate man. He's got everything at stake. Now, you've stumbled into this mess, and I'm doing my best to get you out of it.
Well, don't you? I should go running all over Crete with you. I don't even know who you are.
I'm a master criminal, wanted all over Europe.
Very funny.
I will tell you in Ius Nicholas.
One thing I do know. Your manners are as bad as Stratos.
Very well, Miss Ferris, stay here. Call a policeman. I'm sure he'll offer you better protection than I can.
Lambus then shows up and Mark fights with him. Nicky then grabs his gun and knocks him out. Mark's shoulder starts bleeding again and he tells Nicky to go out alone, but she refuses.
We must stay together.
I honestly don't think I can make it.
Yes, of course you can. Come on. We must go. Oh, dear. We'll find somewhere along the way, and then you can rest. All right?
They then arrive at the Temple of Apollo and rest there.
Mark, it is creepy.
It's all the better. We can hide and rest. It's all right. It's only cats.
The most blood-curdling sound.
Cats are bad luck on Crete.
who she is?
The young lady that ran back to Stratus and lost her head.
Mark then finally tells Nikki the whole story and asks her if she's heard of the Countess of Fleet, which she has.
Wasn't she the woman who lost those fabulous jewels in a robbery? Some man who worked in the bank was accused... He was accused...
Yes, that was me.
Mark, did you steal?
No, of course I didn't.
Who did?
Stratus, I think.
How on earth did you get mixed up in that?
Oh, it's all so... The Countess kept all her jewels at the bank where I occupied what is known as a position of trust. Sometimes she'd ask me to bring them to her when she wanted to wear them. Well, on this particular occasion, instead of waiting for the guard, you know, the security man, I took the jewels from the safe and jumped into a taxi and took them straight round to Fleet House.
What happened?
Well, one moment I was standing on the doorstep with the jewels. The next moment I came to without the jewels and a lump the size of a golf ball on the back of my head.
Stratus.
I never got a chance to see his face. I was hit from behind.
Oh, I see. How awful.
Then, as they look for a place with more cover, Nikki asks Mark how he traced Stratos there.
Well, a fence was arrested in London. Just a routine affair. The police found one of the Fleet earrings among his loot. Now, this man lived over a Greek restaurant in Soho called the Moon Spinners.
The Moon Spinners?
Now, wait a minute. By hanging around, I discovered that the owner had lately sold up and vanished. He was a Cretan, a man called Stratus.
That was a pretty long shot, wasn't it?
Well, it paid off. I found Ias Georgius, another inn called the Moon Spinners, and another Cretan called Stratus.
But you don't even know if he's got the jewels, do you?
Well, I'm pretty certain after last night, aren't you?
He might have left them in London.
Not a chance.
At the inn?
Warm.
The church?
Warmer.
Nikki then realizes that the jewels must be buried in the Bay of Dolphins and then asks Mark why he doesn't call the police if he's sure that Stratos is the culprit.
Because I have no proof of anything. No way of connecting him with a robbery at all, except that he tried to kill me last night. Now, I suppose he locked you up in the windmill because he thought I might have told you the whole story.
They then go to sleep. The next morning, they meet a man named Anthony Gamble, played by the late John Le Mesurier, who is observing the ruins at daybreak as part of his job and offers to take them to Gios Nikolios.
Oh, that would be wonderful. Mark, that's lucky.
My name's Anthony Chelmsford Gamble. It's always a pleasure to help Her Majesty's subjects in distress.
How'd you do? Look, why don't you go along with Mr. Gamble, and I'll see if I can get in touch with your aunt.
I'm not going with anyone. And you've got to get a doctor to see to your shoulder. He was shot in the shoulder.
Shot? My goodness, yes, you have been having adventures. But it so happens my wife's a qualified nurse. She'll be happy to attend you.
Oh, that's marvelous. Please, Mark, otherwise I won't go.
All right. Mr. Gamble. What are you doing out here so early in the morning?
Well, I'm an amateur archaeologist. I often come out here to potter among the ruins. I have a nose for making singular discoveries.
So Mr. Gamble takes Mark and Nikki to his place where they meet his wife Cynthia, played by Sheila Hancock.
They ran into some trouble with the natives. Mr. Campert's hurt his shoulder.
Oh, my dear, how dreadful. You both look worn out.
I thought we could take care of them until their affairs are set in order.
Yes, of course, I'd be delighted. If I could look at your shoulder, perhaps I can be of help.
Oh, well, it's all right. You need have no fear at handing yourself over to Cynthia. She was known as the Angel of Eastbourne during the war.
Oh, Tony, don't be absurd. Would you like to go along up?
Thank you very much.
I'll send the card to Ias Georgius for your aunt. I'll see you later.
So Cynthia takes Mark and Nikki upstairs while Anthony goes into another room where Stratos is waiting.
Why are you still here? I told you to go home. Where did you find them? Peacefully sleeping at the ruins. Fine mess you've made of things. If you'd had your way, this entire enterprise would have ended with bodies strewn all over the island like the last act of King Lear.
Was it my fault he turned up at Ayers Yojos? I did everything I could to get rid of him. As for that girl and her aunt...
Did you seriously imagine you could dispose of two British subjects as though they were sacks of potatoes without anybody starting an inquiry?
Anthony's upset with Stratos for bungling the operation and asks him how he thought Mark and Nikki could disappear without being noticed.
Now that you've got them here, what are you going to do with them?
I shall take care of them with efficiency and dispatch. Two qualities which you seem to be sadly lacking.
You listen to me, you chattering old maid. I want to know what you're going to do.
It's not your concern anymore. Go back to your village and concentrate on carrying out your part of the bargain tonight. If it hadn't been for your grotesque addiction to astrology, I could have handled the whole deal from here without involving anyone else.
My chart has not lied. From the beginning, it has not lied. You sit here reading your letters, making contacts, collecting your fat commissions. I did the whole thing. From the beginning, I alone.
It was your chart, I suppose, that produced Madame Habib.
Well, you just remember this. If either of those two get away, it means the finish of you and your whole cozy setup. You'll be sorry you did not stay at home and stick to your knitting.
I don't knit. It so happens I do extremely fine petit point.
Just too young.
Not that way. Through the garden. Savage.
After taking a bath and having some breakfast, Nikki feels better, and Cynthia brings her a dress to wear until her aunt comes with their luggage. She then tells Nikki that Mark's wound might get infected.
I don't know if I caught it in time.
Oh, no. How awful. We must get him to a hospital.
Well, there is a wonderful British hospital in Athens.
Athens? But could we get him there in time? I mean, if his arm's really bad, it might...
No, don't. Let's anticipate disaster. Why don't I talk to Anthony? He's so wise, and he has such influence with the local authorities.
Well, if you think so. But I...
Oh, you poor dear. You have had the most dreadful time. But don't worry. Anthony will take charge. Anthony always takes charge. You can trust him completely. Now, you're not to worry about a thing. Everything will be all right.
Can I go and see Mark now, then?
Oh, I wouldn't if I were you. He's sleeping.
Oh.
Later, Nikki goes downstairs and talks with Anthony, who's looking at a yacht through his telescope.
What a beautiful yacht.
Yes, isn't it? Shall we go in?
Yeah.
I think lunch ought to be ready by now. Oh, this way.
They then sit down for lunch. Cynthia shows up and she tells Nikki that she was just writing a letter to Maud Devises.
Do you know Maud Devises?
No, I'm afraid I don't.
She's the daughter of the Earl of Leith. We're old friends.
After lunch, Nikki goes upstairs and talks to Mark, and he's very suspicious about the gambles.
Oh, how awful everyone is in Greece. Simply too unrefined. Especially some woman who has a yacht called Madame Habib. Too ghastly.
Who?
Madame Habib. Too ghastly. Married 5 or 6 times. Nobody who is anybody would even have her inside the house.
Madame Habib?
Her yacht's in the harbour.
The Minotaur? Are you sure?
Mark, lie down.
Is she here?
Oh, well, I don't know. I assume...
Madame Habib, that would explain everything.
What would?
Why he was so desperate to get rid of us. Why he's been hiding in IS Georges. What he's been waiting for.
Stratus?
The deal, the big deal.
Nikki then leaves the room. Mark gets up and faints because Cynthia drugged him. Soon enough, Aunt Frances arrives for Nikki, and Mark's brought downstairs, still unconscious, and put into a hearse, which will be taking Nikki and Aunt Frances to the airport.
How very bizarre.
I don't think that's very funny.
Well, it wasn't intended to be, my dear. It so happens it's the only available vehicle on which anybody can stretch out flat.
As long as it gets us to the airport, that's all that matters.
Yes, well, I think I'm going to get in the back with Mark. Thank you so much, Mr. Gamble. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Have a good journey.
Thank you.
Now, you will do all you possibly can to see that that horror Stratus is arrested.
Yes, of course. Absolutely.
We'll be happy to testify.
Well, I sincerely hope that won't be necessary.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Ambrose. And happy landings in Athens.
They then leave for the airport. On the way, the hearse gets stuck in traffic during a street festival.
Shush! Please, quiet! Shush! We must get off this street. Go down there. Oh.
Mark then wakes up and tells Nikki that he's going back to the Bay of Dolphins.
If you try to get out of this hearse, I'll do something desperate.
I've got to get back to the inn. I've the strongest possible hunch that tonight's the night.
Stratos will kill you. And if he doesn't, I will. So lie down.
Don't you get rough with me. I'm an invalid.
Mark, you're not going without me. You'll only get into some awful scrape and I won't be there to help you.
Dear Nicky, you've gone through quite enough for me.
I just don't want you to get hurt.
Take care.
Nikki follows Mark, but she's having trouble keeping up, and Mark gets on a bus. Nikki steals a boat and goes out to the yacht.
Stop the boat, will you? I want to get on! Stop! Stop it! Will you stop? I want to get on, it's very important!
Θέλει να ανέβει να πάνω στο πλοίο.
The captain, played by the late Andre Morel, tells Madame Habib, played by the late Paula Negri, about Nikki wanting to come on board.
A young woman.
I don't recall any mention of a young woman in the arrangements. Bring her on board and we'll see.
Yes, madame.
So the captain lets Nikki on board and she tells the story to Madame Habib.
The emeralds that were stolen from Lady What's-her-name in London, she kept them at the bank. And Mark was asked to take them to her, and he was held up, and he never saw the man's face. It was a terrible scandal, and Mark had lost his job and was disgraced, and he was in...
Now, please explain what emeralds.
May I sit down?
Sit.
Aunt Frances and I are on a holiday, and we went to I.S. George's to record some songs for the BBC. And Mark was there. There was a wedding, and next day I found him in the crypt. He'd been attacked by Stratos.
Stratus?
Well, he's the man with the emeralds, so I helped him.
Who?
Mark. I had to. But then Stratus found out and shot me in the windmill. He was going to kill me, I think, but Mark and Alexis got me out.
Who is Alexis?
Oh, he's a boy from the village who's got a donkey.
I see.
Nicky then mentions Mr. Gamble, who's the British consul. However, Madam Habib says he's not the British consul. He's a dealer in antiquities.
And you know what you are? You are an imposter.
Me?
You are the girl from that English children's book who walked through the glass into a world full of crazy people. And you know who I am? I am the March Hare.
Meanwhile, back at the hotel, Mark watches Stratos going out to the Bay of Dolphins and follows him along the shore. Stratos fishes the jewels out of the bay and returns to his boat, but then Mark jumps in and they get into a fight. Mark then falls out of the boat and Stratos keeps trying to run him over. Alexis, who followed Mark to the bay, runs back and tells everybody.
For crying loud out. Hey, my Uncle Stratos killed Mr. Camford.
What?
Σταμάτης βάρκες. Αμέσως.
We go now to the Bay of Dolphins, quick.
Where's Nicky?
Don't know, no time now.
Alexis, wait. She's with him. She's with Mr. Camford.
Come then, boats go now, quick.
Όλες τις βάρκες σας παρακαλώ. Ακολουθήστε με όλες τα δελφίνια.
On the yacht, the captain tells Madam Habib that Stratos is coming, so she has Nicky hide in a closet and then Stratos comes in.
Come here. Are you the man from Mr. Gamble?
I am.
Have you brought his jewels?
Yes.
Well, show them to me.
You have the money?
I must see the jewels first.
Stratos shows Madam Habib the emeralds and demands the money for them.
No. I want the money now. I want to get off this ship.
Will you come with me? It's in my stateroom safe.
No. I want the money here, now.
You don't even realize what you're holding, do you? 1,000 years of passion, pride, and blood crystallized into those perfect stones. Very well.
Nikki then sneezes in the closet and Stratos finds her.
What are you doing here? Studiarlo. Studiarlo.
Mark then comes in and fights with Stratos. The police then come in and arrest Stratos. Nikki is then reunited with Aunt Frances.
Are you all right? Yes.
Don't you ever do
Madam Habib, this is my Aunt Frances.
Well, since this seems to have turned into a family reunion, we might as well make the best of it. I will have dinner served on the rear deck. I'm so upset. I shall have mine in bed.
The emeralds are then to be returned to their rightful owner, and Mark and Nikki say goodbye to Alexis as they leave on the yacht.
Thanks for everything. You come back to Ayos Yorios. We make good hotel now.
We'll come back soon, Alexis. Goodbye.
Bye, we'll be back.
You come back. We have nice big wedding, maybe.
Maybe. Bye.
Goodbye,
Bye.
Alexis.
Be careful.
Bye-bye. Goodbye, Alexis. Goodbye.
And that was the Moon Spinners. My thoughts? It's really good. In the end, I give it 4 stars out of 5. Well, that's it for the Moon Spinners. Be sure to next week when I'll be reviewing Disney Channel's second original movie. And if you enjoyed this video, then please tell your friends about me, leave some questions in the comments below, subscribe, and hit that like button.
Have some octopus.